Good evening, Miss Sohini.
A very good evening to everyone. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, everybody. Miss Deepa, our moderator, whether she joined or not, I'm not able to trace her. Well,
Amongst the attendees, I can see one Miss Deepa.
so many Deepas are there, but I don't know whether she joined. Now she cannot join. The room is full.
All right, all right.
No problem, we'll manage. So good evening, everybody. So very happy to introduce Miss Sohini Roy as our promising resource person with lots of teaching experience. And I'm pretty sure everybody is looking forward to this particular program as the response was overwhelming, as we have received more than 2,000 registrations and only 300 participants could join as usual. But don't worry, and someone was trying to, record the session, which is not allowed, which we will be uploading in our YouTube channel after the program. So thank you so much, everybody. I could see a lot of educators joining well in advance to reserve their seats. So thank you so much for your enthusiasm. Definitely, we have mentioned a few points for discussion today. Definitely, classroom management is a very vast topic, but we'll try to cover up the most important things, topics, points in this session. Ms. Okini, as I said, the expectations are more how we'll feel, we'll do our justice to the expectations. So thank you once again, Ms. Okini and all the educators. So I take this opportunity to congratulate everyone for being the nation builders and classroom managers. So we are all managers. Rather than class teachers and subject teachers, we are all managers. So on behalf of all the educators, let me introduce Sokni Vishwas Roy. Just give me a moment.
Sohini Roy Biswas, who holds a first-class master's degree in English literature from the esteemed University of Calcutta and B.Ed degree from Jiwaji University. She is a distinguished figure in the realm of English education with over 14 years of enriching experience. Sohini's journey in education has been marked by excellence and dedication. She served as the postgraduate teacher and head of department for English at Amrita Vidyalayam, New Delhi, where her leadership and expertise shone brightly. Sohini's commitment to academic excellence has been recognized on numerous occasions, including a prestigious certificate of appreciation from the former Education Minister, Ms. Smriti Irani. Furthermore, Sohini's expertise has been sought after by the Central Board of Secondary Education, CBSE, where she has served as an evaluator for Grade 12 English examinations for an impressive 8 years. Currently, she is shaping young minds as a PGT English at 21K School, bringing her wealth of experience and passion to inspire the next generation of learners. Hearty welcome Ms. Sohini Roy to Extra Mile Education and Training.
Yes, Ms. Sogni, you can proceed. All the best.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. I will just take a moment to present my screen and then we will be good to go. Dr. Salam, if you could confirm that you can see my screen and hear me now.
Yes.
Okay, all right. will also share my sound. All right. Thank you, Salam sir, for that wonderful introduction. Once again, good evening, esteemed organizers, Dr. Salam, Mr. Biju, and all my friends from the teaching fraternity. Welcome to the webinar. I would like to start with a disclaimer. I'm here to share and learn. So please feel free to drop in an idea, a suggestion, ask a question, or initiate a dialogue. Let us use this beautiful and worthy platform created by Dr. Salam and Mr. Biju to facilitate a free flow of ideas, knowledge, and the best practices. Dr. Salam has already made you familiar with the itinerary or the event agenda, but I would like you all to have a quick look at the agenda for today. We shall try to delve into the displayed itinerary that will include managing behavioral challenges, how to be a motivational catalyst, addressing learners' disengagement with academics, effective tools for managing larger classroom settings, and last but not the least, we'll talk about exit tickets. Moving forward. Whoa. Now that's a picture that is straight out of a teacher's nightmare, isn't it? If it ever has happened to you that you entered a class where students were all over the place, please raise your virtual hand. I'm sure we all have been there. Oh my God, I can already see so many responses. Yes, we all have been there where students were all over the place, they were not ready to listen, and the class was in an utter state of indiscipline. Absolutely. Thank you so much for your responses. But class management skill is very crucial to our profession, isn't it? But before we, yes, thank you so much for your responses. But before we discuss how to attain a peaceful class, let us try and understand why in the first place a class becomes unruly. Moving forward, here are a few factors that contribute to class indiscipline. May I request Ms. Archana to kindly read out the points written on this slide for us? If that is all right for you, ma'am. Ms. Archana Chandra?
Yes, ma'am. It's lack
Go
of
ahead.
respect, family ambience, teacher-student communication gaps, lack of engagement, peer influence, and emotional issues.
Thank you so much, Ms. Archana. Thank you so much. You read it out so beautifully. Now, let us try to elaborate a little on these points. Now, if my students don't love me, and if they don't respect me, of course, they would love to make my life difficult by creating a lot of trouble in the class, by creating a havoc in the class, right? Apart from that, moving forward, all our students come from different family backgrounds. They all come from different social backgrounds. We don't know whether the child who's coming to our class even had his breakfast, whether the class, the family is in a state of emotional turmoil, whether the child comes from separated parents. We don't know about the family ambience, where and that goes a long way in hampering the students' behavior in the class. Now, the next point is written in bold and in all caps. I'm sorry to say, but as facilitators, very often we fail to communicate our expectations to our learners or students in very clear terms. As a result of that, this communication gap is created. Moving ahead, lack of engagement happens when the way we are teaching our pedagogy, our methodology, is not up to the liking of the students. As a result of that, they lose interest in what is being taught, and we see those paper planes flying from one side of the classroom to the other, of course. And then comes peer influence. We have all the veterans here. I'm sure you have seen that students love to behave in a certain way to be, to feel accepted in the peer group, right? And, a group of such children would always create a havoc in the class. And last but not the least, dear educators, we are dealing with a generation that is always in a state of emotional turmoil. right? They have more than they can handle in form of the feed that they get in their social media handles, from the web. As a result of that, they're constantly seeking validation, and they have a lot of emotional and psychological issues. Now, if you put all these buggers together, if I may say so, if you put all these points together, it would make a perfect recipe for a class which is unruly and which is rowdy, right? But now, how to change the scenario? Will punitive actions help? Taking the students to the principal's room, giving them extra assignments, or maybe a call to the guardians? Will that help? No, I'm afraid I'm sure you would all agree with me when I say that punitive actions or punishments don't really help in the long run. Then what do we do when we have so much of classroom indiscipline? Ladies and gentlemen, in the very beginning of the session, I said, I'm here to share and learn. And in this context, I would like you to allow me to quote a case study from our very own country. Okay, moving ahead, I would like someone from the audience to kindly volunteer to read out the case study that is displayed on your screen. Anyone? Please go ahead.
They can raise their hand. Yeah, Shailaja.
Absolutely, absolutely. Miss Shailaja, please go ahead.
Yeah, namaste, ma'am.
Namaste.
Mr. Changija has recently taken over a 7th grade class in a public middle school. The class comprises 30 students characterized by diverse backgrounds, abilities, and behavioral tendencies. Mr. Smith inherited the classroom from a teacher who resigned midway through the academic year. Since his arrival, Mr. Smith has encountered significant challenges in managing classroom behavior, lack of focus, and occasional rude replies.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ms. Shailaja. You again read it so beautifully. Now, this is a case study from a school which is located in northeastern part of India. And we just saw, I think Satya would like to say something. Please go ahead. Would you like to make a remark here, or would you like to give your observation here?
No, she wanted to read. That's finished.
Oh,
You can
probably,
go ahead,
yes.
yeah.
She wanted to read the case study. Okay, I'll come back to you. Thank you so much. Okay, so we see that here Mr. Chankija is definitely in trouble, right? So he has been given an unruly class in the middle of the session. And I would now request some of you to volunteer and tell us what could be the reason behind this chaos. He took over the class and he saw that the classroom behavior, it was not just up to the expectation. He often felt that students were lacking focus. They were giving him rude replies. What do you think was the reason that the students were behaving in this way? And by the way, this is a real case study. I'm quoting from an actual school in the northeastern part of India. Yes, Ms. Shailaja again. Please go ahead.
If the children already has a good bonding with the previous teacher, they may not be in a condition to accept the new one immediately.
Absolutely right. Wow. Thank you so much, Ms. Shailaja. And I can see a few facilitators and educators sending in the message chat box as well. They're saying that connect with the student and the teacher would be missing. The previous class situation can be a factor. Then they're saying that they're not ready to accept a new teacher. The change was so abrupt. Bad influence from home and negligence. Wow. I am in the middle of such enlightened people, such enlightened educators. Absolutely, you made my job so much easier. So, putting all your inputs together, I can safely say that yes, the students were not ready to accept a new teacher. They probably had a very good bond with the previous one, and the way the ties were severed was rather abrupt. And look at this poor Mr. Chankija, who did not have any idea what to do in this unruly classroom. But then Mr. Chankija is a smart teacher. What did he do next? He recognized the urgent need to address the unruly behavior and create a conducive learning environment. He implemented a multifaceted approach, incorporating following intervention strategies. That is the term that a psychologist would use. But that is how Mr. Chankija found his foothold in the class. I will take you to the next slide. What did he do that worked like magic? Okay, so first and foremost, he collaborated with the students to establish and reinforce clear expectations, which is to state what is allowed in the class and what is not. So clear expectations were set. Moving forward, he implemented a fair and consistent discipline policy, outlining consequences of disruptive behavior. I'm afraid somewhere we have to tell the children where to draw the line. But as I was saying, punishments or punitive actions alone will not help. So he also provided opportunities for them to redeem themselves through positive reinforcement. So if I'm doing something wrong and next day I'm doing something good, I'm performing well, I'm behaving well, there are chances of me redeeming myself. And I'll not get that bad phone call that would tell my parents that I was a bad boy or a bad girl in class. Moving forward, he involved students in the process. Students were no longer the passive recipients. They felt involved. He involved the students and sought their input, collaboration to foster a sense of ownership and accountability. So from being Mr. Chankiza's class, it became a class where there were 31 people. One was Mr. Chankija and the others were the equal stakeholders of what was happening in the class. So you see, collaborative problem solving can go a long way in solving these problems. And finally, which proved to be a game changer in this case study, in this particular scenario, he demonstrated genuine empathy, active listening, and genuine interest in students' lives. And that's what helped him foster trust and mutual respect. And voila, you see, the classroom was changed. The students' academic performance, their performance in sports, the discipline-related issues, everything took a complete U-turn and everything was as per the teachers' expectations, the management's expectations. I can also see a lot of inputs coming in the chat box, which is so heartwarming, right? Bad influence from home, absolutely. Friendly approach towards the students, very, very rightly said. Now, I would like to take, I would like all of us to take a moment and have a good look at the 5 points or the 5 intervention strategies written on your slide. Ladies and gentlemen, would you not say that if we use these 5 strategies categorically in our classrooms, wherever we are facing indiscipline, unruly behavior, a rowdy classroom, don't you think that they will be effective? They will bring about a change that we really want to see in our classroom? I'm sure you all are nodding in agreement. Now, with that, I would like to move ahead to the next slide, and I think I would like to open the chat box as well. And here I get a lot of nods from my learned friends. Surely, of course, yes, thank you so much. Okay, now I'm so sorry. I hope I'm not badgering you with questions and requests, but I would like one more volunteer here, whom I would like to tell the audience what is the difference between the first scene and the second scene. There are 2 scenes on display on the slide. So I would like someone to try and say, what is the difference that you see between the 2 scenes? May I have a few volunteers, please?
Again, Miss Shailaja.
Yes, Miss Shailaja has raised her hand. I'll ask her to wait for a moment, and I would hope that some more facilitators and educators would come forward. Someone else? Rubab, that's a beautiful name. Rubab, would you like to please tell us what is the difference that you spot between the 2 scenes?
Ma'am, in the scene A, I can see the teacher is very much strict, the student, and about the timings and all. Maybe she was late. But in scene B, I can see the teacher is having a friendly approach with the student, so which makes her happy.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Thank you so much, Rubab.
Thank you, ma'am.
And I can also see a lot of responses coming through the chat box. The first teacher is very strict And the second one has a friendly approach, the bond between teacher and student. And then I see happiness is the key to success. Yes, friendly approach always gives good results. Thank you so much. And Ms. Renita is saying friendly approach, and scene A shows a strict teacher, not connected at all. And in scene B, the child is given space. Wow. I am again at loss of words because I'm in the midst of such illuminated personalities who are able to, clinically diagnose the problem in scene A and what is right with scene B. You're making my job so much easier. So once again, dear educators, with all your inputs, if I can safely say that the teacher in scene A is more like a dictator, right? She is like a judge. And it's sure that she will end up making the child hate her subject and moreover her time in the school. Whereas in scene B, the teacher is more like a friend, philosopher, and guide. Ms. Rachna is writing that in A, the teacher is an authoritarian, and in B, she's helping the child to learn. Absolutely. Empathetic. Wow, that's the word I was looking for. Ms. Asha is writing that in scene A, she doesn't have much patience, whereas in scene B, we see a very calm teacher. Wow, absolutely right. Absolutely right. Okay, now I would also like you to walk down the memory lane and try and tell us in the chat box the name of that one teacher whom you would relate with the teacher you're seeing in scene B. I'm sure we have all had such one teacher whom we all looked up to, who made us what we are really today. We probably don't remember the lessons they taught, the sums they made us solve, but we remember them for their patience and their empathy. Go ahead. I can see, again, so many responses. Nimila ma'am and Kushbu ma'am, Ramamurthy ma'am, Miss Mayura, my biology teacher. Wow, that's lovely. That's lovely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. So we all remember the teacher who shows us empathy, who listens to us with genuine interest, right? We all love that teacher. Now, we all are educators here. Don't we want to be that Miss Ramamurthy or that Miss Mayura, whom we want, whom we remember so fondly after so many years? Yes, we all wish to be remembered as a great educator who inspires and motivates. Here are some simple steps that will help us to be one. Now, we don't have to be a certified counselor. We don't need a degree in clinical psychology to become a counselor. Every teacher is a counselor in his or her own rights. Trust me, when when a teacher deals with a student with empathy, rather than judging him or her, they feel it, they understand it. Moving ahead, it's not an appreciation, We are often very quick to judge. Okay, we are often very quick to reprimand, but we are very thrifty when it comes to appreciation. I remember one of our staff meetings when my previous principal had made us all recall the number of calls that we made for disciplinary issues and number of calls that we made to the parents to appreciate the children. And trust me, we all were taken aback when we recalled and we found out that, yes, the number of calls that we made to complain regarding a certain issue, that number was bigger. And the number of calls we made to appreciate a student's efforts or improvement in the performance or something, that number was much less. That's a pity. So let us all be a little generous when it comes to appreciation. Dear teachers, drop that little toffee, draw a little smiley on the assignment, make that one phone call to inform the parents about that slight improvement that the child has made. Maybe not something very significant, but a slight improvement that the child has made. Trust me, this will go a long way in contributing to the students' confidence, and they will turn around and think that, yes, I don't just get calls to from the teacher to complain about something, she just wants to complain about something. She also calls to appreciate my efforts. So I might as well give some more efforts to it, right? Moving ahead, I'll talk about with encouragement and adequate support, each child blooms. Trust me, they say it correctly. There are no dumb students, only ineffective teachers. We need to monitor their performance and help the student develop a growth mindset. The key word is growth here. Very often we turn them down with harsh and critical words. We must stop that. We must encourage them and develop that growth mindset in them. And over some time, we will be able to see noticeable change in the collective psyche of the class. I'm here talking as much about an individual student as about a collective psyche, about the classroom, about a whole section, right? I can see interesting responses coming through. Ms. Divya, Divya is saying, Mr. Divya is saying that's a great idea. Then Sangeeta, Ms. Sangeeta is saying that's great. And then I can see my physics teacher during 12th class was just great. Wow, those are such beautiful memories that we all recall so fondly, right? Okay. Now moving ahead, we just learned how to be a motivational catalyst. But the next topic of our workshop is something that is very, very serious. If we all have had a look at National Education Policy 2020, right? And it lays a lot of emphasis on learning outcome, students' learning outcome. And all our principals and coordinators and us as as educators would love to see our students beaming when they come out with their, come up with their results. We all would love to see them, passing with flying colors. But is it that easy? Is it easy to keep students engaged throughout the session, in every class, in every lesson? I'm afraid it may not be that easy. And I'm sure we all have struggled with this issue. We've all struggled to keep students engaged in the process of learning as we teach something in the class. But before we discuss it in detail, let us listen to Professor Joe Rall. He is a National Teachers Hall of Fame inductee. Let us listen to what Dr. Joe Rall has to say to us. I hope the audio is clear to you.
I think probably most of us remember the teacher-centered classroom. This is probably what we're familiar with from our youth. You remember the teacher was up front and center. The students were in nice, neat rows, not allowed to talk to each other. And the teacher, the source of authority, downloaded information to the kids who regurgitated it back up on a test designed to measure how much content they could remember. Now, I have to admit, I love lecturing. But my students don't always love it. It does not always inspire. So I was thinking, what really inspires? Years ago, I was doing lunch duty at school, standing in the lunchroom, being visible, watching kids go through the cafeteria line. And as I watched the kids going through the line, it occurred to me, they love having choices. And so I said to myself, maybe that would work in the classroom. Let the kids have choices. And so that's what I did. I converted my classroom to a situation where student choice was a big part of the room, along with 4 other C's: collaboration, communication, critical thinking, and creativity. Actually, over 10 years ago, the National Education Association identified those last 4 C's on the list as essential 21st century skills that kids should learn. And I agree wholeheartedly. I've added choice to the top of the list, not as a skill for kids to learn, but rather as a characteristic of the classroom. By choice, I mean a situation where many learning activities are available to students, designed to meet the many diverse learning styles that they have. And the kids love it as much as they love choices in the cafeteria.
Well, of course. So ladies and gentlemen, the arrow is now pointing at us. Are we able to create classrooms, which are engaging and conducive? Let us all sit back, think, learn to unlearn. Let us alter our strategies, transform our pedagogy, and educate rather than teach. I would like to quote an instance from my own experience. I've always been a high school English teacher. And in grade 11, though many of you are the teachers from the CBSE board, and you would know that there is a song called Song of the Rain in grade 11. I always found students not so interested when I was teaching this poem. They found it to be particularly dry. So I, as an educator, was really, really frustrated with not being able to generate enough interest in that poem. And, thankfully, in our school, there was this precinct, which was green, and there was a huge neem tree, okay? And so once it happened that, I was just not able to generate enough interest, and I took my class to that green precinct. I made them all sit on the grass, and then I started teaching that poem to them. And I saw that the level of interest immediately rose, and it was visible. It was visible on their faces that they were able to connect with nature, because this poem is all about nature. So they were able to connect with nature, and they were able to understand the poem. And more importantly, a poem is more about appreciation than understanding. So they were able to appreciate the poem and the poet's feelings that were conveyed through it. I was so moved by this experience. Trust me, I sat down and redesigned the syllabus, and I pushed this Song of the Rain to August, to the month of July and August, because there would be enough rain, and probably the students would have even better connection with the poem, and I'll be able to take them out. And Delhi is even greener during the monsoon. So very often we become very rigid when it comes to pedagogy. We think that, okay, I have the experience of teaching for so many years. I know my business so well. What is there to change? Why do I need to change in the first place? But as they say, change is the only constant. We have to adapt to the needs of the 21st century. The time has changed. If today's children are not able to relate to a particular topic, if they're not able to find the connection with the real world, they will lose interest. Let me know in the chat box what you think about it, and if you at all, agree with what Professor Joral was saying. So that is all about creating engagement in the class. This engagement happens very easily, and it happens in every age group. I think all the topics that we are covering today in the workshop are fairly general. They're applicable to each and every age group, right? So I would say that let us all think about it, and let us sit down with our lesson plan. There is no harm in it, right? There are so many tools that we can employ and make our lesson plans engaging and interesting. Just opening the textbook, standing in front of the class and asking them to read and explain, that is no longer appreciated. So let's be like Professor Joral and give them choices. Let's see what happens. Okay, that brings me to I can see a lot of responses in the chat box.
Also, Saucony, Professor was also mentioning the need to know the learning style of children.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. So every student has a different cognitive style, a different cognitive level. Without understanding that, this is something that we were taught during our B.Ed classes, right? This is something that is known as Bloom's taxonomy, right? As Dr. Salam has correctly pointed out. So he talks about different learning styles. So if we are, we are imagining that every child will fit in the same shoes, then we are mistaken. It's not them who are mistaken, right? Yes, and I can see a lot of responses. Very useful session for the teachers. So thank you so much. And yes, it's very tough to engage for children sometimes, and a lot of agreement. And in history topics, they feel bored. Absolutely right. They think that history is all about dates and remembering the years, etc. Yes, it takes passion to go about this. I think this is a comment that sums up everything that I was trying to say, or Professor Ral was trying to say. It is all about the passion in us. So it is not, we always say that teaching is not a profession, it's a vocation, right? So we are here by choice, and we have been given the most important responsibility in this whole world, and that is to bring up the next generation of policymakers. And if we don't do it with passion, then it will fall flat and will not have the desired effect.
Teaching is not a profession, but a service, right?
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. It's a most valuable service. With that, I will move to the next slide. And once again, I have a question. You can again go to the chat box and let us know. What is the usual strength of your class? How many students are there typically in one section? 35, 40,
40
36,
also. 40,
40
42.
also. Yes, 40, 42. Wow. Yes, yes, absolutely. And if there are teachers who are from the esteemed government schools, they would say that it even rises up to 60, 65 sometimes, right? Such a challenging, I can see 45 written quite often. Wow. You are the superheroes, you are tackling so much together. And a teacher's job is not just to go and deliver the lesson and come back. There is so much to take care of. So you all are superheroes, no doubt about that. 35, then there are 42 students, then yes, even 60 students sometimes. 25 to 30 students typically, 35 to 40 students typically. Oh, wow. Thank you so much for your responses. So learned teachers, I could see that if I look at the average number, then it typically varies from 35 to 45. In some cases, it may even go up to 50 and 60. It goes without saying, we live in the most populous country in the world. And dear friends, the class strength is not getting lesser anytime soon. Probably it will never become, an ideal scenario.
There are schools with 50 students in a classroom. CBSE does not allow.
Does not allow that, yes. But in some areas, I guess it is unavoidable, and they are forced to take more and more students, accommodate more and more students in the class. And from the bottom of my heart, I have so much respect for these teachers who are handling so much, juggling so much so efficiently. So as I was saying, we live in the most populous country in the world, and the class strength will not come down. So typically, we will always walk into a class and find ourselves surrounded by, let's say 40, 42 students minimum, right? The ideal case scenario is one teacher and 20 students. That's the ideal case scenario, or the ideal teacher-student ratio. It is not possible, right? Where will our children go? They will come to our classrooms and we'll have to accommodate them. And with that, we come to this question, how to manage them. It's not just a place where they come and sit and go. They have to learn. They have to learn a lot of things, not just their lesson. How do we do that with 45 students present in front of me? And as Dr. Salam was correctly pointing out, they all have different learning styles that come from different backgrounds. How do I accommodate them and teach them efficiently? Now, to answer that question, I would like to introduce, I would say this is a philosophy, this is a technique, this is a mechanism, you call it whatever you may like. So to address the issue of larger class settings, we will try to employ Kaizen. Okay, now those of you who are not so familiar with the idea of Kaizen, let me tell you that Kaizen is a widely used Japanese philosophy of continuous improvement. It talks about techniques that advocate making small improvements at a time, which add up something substantial over a longer period, right? So we are looking at a very comfortable time frame. No one is rushing us. No one is telling us, oh, you have to do it today. You have to change the entire class in just a semester. Well, that's not problem. That's not possible. But if I take it slow and steady with the help of Kaizen method, By the way, it's a widely accepted method all over the world. With that, we will be able to achieve our desired target. I can see a few responses, and Miss Lata says it's interesting. And yes, continuous improvement is very important. Yes, absolutely. One small step at a time.
Ms. Rachana has rightly said, continuous improvement.
Continuous
Thank you,
improvement.
Mr. Yeah.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Now, to understand Kaizen, I will try to break it down and simplify so that we all can employ it in the classroom. There is no point in talking about very big ideologies and then we forget it because it is too much to employ or implement in the classroom. No, we'll not do that. We'll try and simplify it, break it down, okay? So Kaizen begins with the 3 C's. They're called case, cause, and countermeasures. Now, tell me, what are the typical features of a large class when you enter it? They are all listed under the category of case, actually. But please take to the chat box and tell me, what is a typical image of a large classroom when you walk in? The previous teacher has left the class and you are entering, and it's a large classroom of, say, 45 students. What is a typical thing that you see? Go ahead, write in the chat box. In the meanwhile, I'll tell you, these are some of the very common features that are found out, and they are listed under the category of case. Student behavior is typically disruptive. Classroom is often noisy, and our principals, coordinators, and vice principals hate that. Noisy classrooms are always a bad news, right? And it is impossible to pay individualized attention because there are so many children. Okay, Deepika ma'am is writing, it is difficult to give individualized attention. Absolutely right. Lack of discipline. Yes. If the previous class was physical education, then they're all tired. Absolutely right. Wow. I feel like we all are sitting in a staff room and brainstorming the ideas. Wow, this is such an engaging audience. Yes. Absolutely right, ma'am. Absolutely. Okay, moving ahead. So these are the cases. Now, what's the cause? What is resulting in all these things? So the behavior is disruptive because they are directionless. It's noisy. The classroom is noisy because they lack self-control. And there is no time to pay personalized attention because there are so many students, and at the same time, there are different cognitive levels present in the class. So it's not 1:20. We're talking about, or we are looking at 1:45. Again, a lot of responses in the chat box, which is really, really heartwarming. I can see that the audience is actively participating, and that's so heartwarming. Peer discussion, no energy, yes. 5 minutes there, uncontrollable, ma'am. Yes, absolutely. Wow. Again, I feel like we are brainstorming, sitting in the school staff room, and we know each other for so long. Absolutely right, teachers. Absolutely right. Okay, moving ahead, let us come to the 3rd C. So now we know the cases, we know the causes. What's the countermeasure? Okay, we are very familiar with the case and cause because we have all been there, we have done that, we have seen that. What is the countermeasure? And trust me, when I talk about countermeasure, I'm not talking about fancy terms. I'm talking about one simple term, which is a very, very commonly used terms these days amongst the educationists, especially those who are into academic research. What is that term? Let me introduce you to the term called student agency. It's the key to handling a large classroom, trust me. This one key can help you open all the locks of those cases of noisy classroom, disruptive behavior, not listening, not paying attention, so much. And it is a term that we hear very often, but probably don't employ very often. So what do we need to do when we are in a large classroom and there are 45, 50 students? Remember, you as an educator or a teacher, if you want to give so much importance to discipline, you will waste 15 minutes of your time probably yelling at them, or probably banging on the desk and asking them to settle down and sit down and all of that. That's a That's such a waste of precious time and energy. Whereas if we employ this student agency, this job can be very well done by your students. How to do that? It's not that your job is just to tell them, okay, you do this, you do that. No. Student agency is something that has to be planned smartly. You have to inspire the students to become leaders. You'll have to break the class into smaller groups, small yet effective groups. And then, trust me, whether they are in pre-primary sections or they're in grade 12, they hate to sit in one place for long. And that is something as teachers we keep on insisting. Sit down, don't leave your seat. Give them movement activities, controlled, sustained movement activities, and then track the progress. If all these factors are brought to the picture, you will see that you are able to invest your time, those 40 minutes of your time, more constructively. And at the same time, you are, from a teacher, you are becoming a facilitator. What is that? A teacher is someone who goes and teaches. A facilitator is someone who makes the students independent, who makes the students responsible of their own actions and performances. And that is the ideal way of taking care of a large classroom. And trust me when I say that when we encourage student agency, they take the onus of their behavior and score. The class becomes a place where everyone thrives. Every single bud blooms. Just make a note of this term, student agency. Design your activities, your lesson. If your classroom happens to be so large, of course, design your lessons around this term. You will find a remarkable change in the overall scenario. Once again, insightful responses coming in the chat box. It would help to have heart-to-heart chat first. Yes, absolutely. Small spell of meditation helps. Yes. Students should engage with activities. Warm-up activities help. Absolutely. Give example of day-to-day activities. Yes, ma'am. I'm coming to that next. Absolutely. We need to create class leaders. Yes, absolutely right. We need to create class leaders, and they will have a better management of the class than we as teachers, because we are entering that class only once in a day, whereas that child is in the class for the entire day. Divide the leadership to the students selected by themselves. Absolutely. Activities, activities, activities. Yes. But unfortunately, what happens is because of the pressure of syllabus, because of the pressure of finishing the written work, we often take a back seat when it comes to giving student agency, engaging them into different activities. And that is exactly what we need to do. Now, it's very easy to say, okay, teachers, go ahead, plan activities that will promote student agency. But as I said, we need to plan smart. And next, I would like to share with you a few activities which are my favorite, and I have seen my colleagues in different schools employing them effectively and getting the desired result. Okay, I would open the slide and request a volunteer from the audience to please raise the hand and read out the activities from the slide. Urvi. Yes, Miss Urvi, please go ahead.
Yeah. Think, pair, share, jigsaw, gallery walk.
Okay, Miss Nandini.
Peer teaching, collaborative projects, Socratic seminars, game-based learning.
Yes, thank you so much. And Ms. Nandini, I'll come back to you with the next question. Thank you so much, Ms. Urvi. Yes, so these are some of the activities which are extremely useful, and they actively promote student agency. Okay, I will not get into the details of all the activities. Of course, the time will not permit me to do that. Ms. Nandini, you may lower your hand for now. Thank you so much. I will come back to you with the next question. Thank you. Okay, but moving forward, I would like to talk about a couple of activities which happen to be my favorite, okay? Now, I'm a language facilitator. Often the lessons are quite long. Yeah? So what I do is I go to this second activity listed here. It's called Jigsaw. So what do? Is I divide the class into smaller groups. And each group becomes responsible for a specific topic or section of the material. And then members of each group would share their expertise and collaborate on a comprehensive understanding. Now you see, just try to picture the classroom. Instead of having 45 children looking at you expectantly, you have smaller groups sitting in huddles, discussing, brainstorming, writing down, making flowcharts because they have an assignment and they will have to come and present it in front of the class. And because you had divided the entire topic or the entire lesson into smaller parts, into smaller sections, once all the students have presented their parts and others have listened, you have actually covered the entire lesson without doing much yourself. That's an excellent activity that I've always found to be very useful in a larger or a sizable class. The next one that I'm very fond of is called gallery walk. You know, we wait till the end of the session probably to have an exhibition. Yeah, but trust me, the classroom can become an exhibition arena and it can remain an exhibition arena. How? Identify the children who are very good with drawing, sketches. Trust me, if your class has a lot of them, make them make the flow charts, make them make the flashcards, posters, maps, and organizers, etc., and have them displayed in your classroom. When you are taking up a particular topic, let the students, small group of students, take a walk. Again, what are we doing? We are engaging them kinesthetically, aren't we? We are making them walk because they hate to be stationed for so long. So we are making them walk around the gallery, and they are also discussing what is displayed there. Moving ahead, peer teaching, I'm sure we all are familiar with. When we make students sit with another student or another group of students because he happens to or she happens to be an expert in that particular topic, right? And trust me, teachers, when I say that these activities can be adapted and modified to suit the specific needs and dynamics of a big or large classroom, they foster engagement, they foster collaboration and active learning. So when you are the one who's standing like that authority figure in front of the 45 students, they are passive listeners. Whereas when they are, you are encouraging student agency, they are becoming active learners. After all, that's what we want. Once again, I would like to have a quick look at the chat box. First day, I will give them one paper and tell them to draw and write something that they're interested in. Tell them to read and give them stars for encouraging them. Wow, that's Think, Pair, Share, right? That's very close to the activity called Think, Pair, Share. See, this is the best part about this platform created by the two gentlemen, right? We are discussing and sharing the best practices and we all are going to benefit from them. So these are some of the ideas of group activities that are beneficial in a sizable class. Now, I have a very difficult question to ask right now. And the question is a burning question. It says, how do we measure teachers' efficacy? How do we know that the teacher is effective or not? Dear friends, we have several tools to evaluate our students, right? We have formative assessments, we have summative assessments, we have projects, assignments, and whatnot. But how do we evaluate ourselves as teachers? We need to evolve too. I can see a few insightful responses coming in. And then they're saying effective communication is needed. Yes, absolutely. And what else? Let me see. Oh, wow, such beautiful activity ideas coming from from the facilitators. I wish we had time to read out each and every one of them, but I would request all the attendees to kindly open the chat box and have a look at the best practices that are being practiced in different schools across the world. And then moving ahead, feedback from students and the bonding, students' improvement and respect, feedback from students, how well the teacher is capable of engaging students. Wow, absolutely insightful, absolutely the right answers. That is the word I was looking forward to, feedback. The word that can tell us whether we are on the right track, whether we are doing our job effectively and correctly, is feedback. But not an artificial or a phony feedback that is given at the end of the term or at the end of the session when, not everyone would remember what happened. We need to evolve with the help of feedback, which is organic, which is genuine, very, very specific, and most importantly, workable, right? We can read that feedback, we can understand, and then we can work on them. Now, how to get that? We understand feedback is important, but how to get that? Active participation of students is very important, absolutely. How do you get students' feedback? And we want it on a regular basis, trust me. Absolutely, absolutely. The feedback is very, very important, as so many facilitators and teachers are writing in the chat box. Now that brings me to the last agenda on of our session today. Of course, this is an agenda which is so big in itself. We'll try to touch upon and try to discuss a bit of it, and probably we'll keep the rest of it for another day. The word feedback brings me to the term exit ticket. Now, an exit ticket is an underrated super tool. I can see a few of you are using the term. That means you are aware and you are using them. That's wonderful. But for those who have not started using exit tickets actively, trust me, it is an underrated super tool. So what is an exit ticket? Such a fancy term, right? Trust me, it's not that fancy at all. An exit ticket is nothing but a brief assessment or reflection of an activity given to the students at the end of the lesson to gather feedback on their learning experiences. So say I have just finished teaching Merchant of Venice. Okay, the lesson is fresh in their mind. They either liked my methodology, they liked the way I taught, they understood it, or they did not, but it is fresh in their mind, right? That is the time when you will get the most organic feedback, the most authentic and genuine feedback, because it is fresh in their mind and they will be able to tell you what is it that they liked, they disliked, and everything. Once again, I'll take a moment and look into the chat box very quickly. Absolutely, absolutely right. Very true. Very true. Yes. So coming back to exit ticket, I told you that it is a super tool and it is very effective, very organic. I would love to flaunt one of the exit tickets that I used in one of my recent classes. In my school, presently the week of welcome is going on, right? So we have a lot of activities going on in the class. So in one of the previous week's class, I happened to use this exit ticket. It was made using Padlet, which is an application. I'm so sorry, they're so tiny. I mean, the posts are so tiny here because I took a screenshot of it, but I'll help you to read them, okay, if you are not able to, because the letters are so tiny here, right? So some of the students did not write their names, which is perfectly all right, and most of them have written it. And look at the first post. It says, I had fun in the class. And then he has written, I wish we had more time to play a fun quiz. And then he has written, I would love to take part in the English club activities. You read this post and you know what exactly this child liked, what is it that he expects of you, and how to plan the next lesson. Look at this little pink post from Rukia. She's writing, I love the session as much as I love Batman. I thought wow sessions are supposed to be wow. And it was exactly how I thought, and even more. I had much serious fun as mentioned in the beginning. Thank you, everyone. So this is the way to generate feedback, which is authentic, organic, and very, very specific. You know whether the students liked it or they disliked it, right? And there are multiple ways, many ways to elicit responses. See, here I did not ask the students to tell me, all the words that are appreciative. No, what did I say? Please read out the question. Enjoyed the session? Go ahead and write what you love the most about today's session and lay down your suggestions. That was my question. And that was all about the exit ticket. So in the exit ticket, we don't ask them subjective questions like, who did this? When did it happen? How did it happen? No, we don't ask questions like that. What did we ask? We ask about their reflection. We ask about how did they like the entire session in general, right? So exit tickets, trust me, are an exciting way to elicit the right kind of responses. Moving ahead, proceed a little quickly because I can see the clock is ticking. Okay, so why should we use exit tickets? Dear facilitators and educators, the exit tickets help us adjust instruction so I know how to plan my next lesson. Personalized support. If an anonymous child or somebody with the name writing that I did not understand this part, or probably I could not answer the questions or could not answer the quiz. So I know, okay, this child needs support. Then engagement check, whether the child was at all listening, paying attention, paying heed, is the best way to understand that. If he did not, he would not be able to write the specifics. Then it's an excellent way to generate the feedback loop. Documentation, something that CBSE always encourages. We should have documentation of each and every child. We should have a clear map of everyone's learning journey. Exit tickets are an excellent way of generating that. And most importantly, I'm sorry, but I'm using this word repetitively. Exit tickets also promote student agency and they promote students' voice. Because here, you are just an observer and you're giving the ultimate authority to the students to tell you whether they liked the class, whether they enjoyed it, whether they disliked it, and what is it that they disliked. Now, those of you who are thinking, oh my God, I already have so much on my platter, and now ma'am is asking us to create exit ticket. Trust me, it is not as intimidating as you are thinking. You can create an exit ticket under 60 seconds. That is less than a minute. How to do that? On display, you have a number of apps which are free of cost, and they come with templates which are beautiful, vibrant, and they come with a set of questions that are ideal for your student reflection, and you can create them again under 60 seconds. So you create and share the link with them, and the next day you know about the feedback of the lesson that was taught the day before. I can see a lot of responses in the chat box. Wow, yes, absolutely, Rubab. Absolutely. This is one way of taking the response. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so very much. Thank you for all the appreciation. And trust me, this exit ticket is a complete game changer. So from next time, it is, okay, Miss Archana is writing, the concept sometimes is difficult to execute in primary classes, KG. And okay, that is why I was saying that I would love to, discuss exit tickets in detail. No, it is not difficult. You know why? Sometimes exit tickets for junior classes can be simply made using 3 emojis: happy, excited, not so happy. So the child ends up just clicking on the right emoji, and trust me, even if the child is in nursery and KG, they know how to click on an emoji and submit. That's it. So you know how many sad emojis you got and how many smiling emojis you got. There is your feedback. It doesn't have to be written all the time. Right? So
Ms. Sohini, we'll have an exclusive session on exit tickets, right?
Oh, absolutely, sir. I would love to. There is so much to discuss when it comes to exit, right?
Correct.
Yes, absolutely. And I would love to, of course, as sir said, we would have another session. I would love to discuss it in more details today, but we have overstepped the time, I believe. And I would have to stop. Probably sometime in the near future, we can delve into the details of exit tickets and discuss something more about this amazing tool. And now we would have a quick recap with the help of a volunteer from the audience. May I have someone to volunteer to read out the recapitulation slide, please? Yes, Sakshi, please go ahead.
Rashikala.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Behavioral issues can be managed with a compassionate approach. Students can be motivated to learn well with positive reinforcement. Learning outcomes can be enhanced with captivating lesson plans. The larger the class, the bigger the opportunities to promote student agency. Exit tickets are effective in eliciting genuine feedback.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sakshi Kalaji. Thank you so very much for reading it so beautifully. And with that, I would request all of
Is
you.
Shashikala.
She is Miss Shashikala. I'm so
Shashikala.
sorry.
Yes,
I twice took your name wrong. Please accept my sincere apologies, Miss
no
Shashikala.
issues, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much for reading it so beautifully, though. Once again, before closing the session, I would quickly like to go and see what the students have, what the teachers have written about the students and their experiences. Wow, thank you so much for your words of appreciation. And now I would like to formally close with a bunch of thanks to each one of you. Dear teachers, I hope that you will walk away from today's workshop with concrete ideas that you can use in your classrooms, starting from tomorrow, why not? And more importantly, let us break free from stereotypes and teach meaningfully. And most importantly, let us innovate and meet the needs of the students of the 21st century. We are teaching the Gen Z, right? So we have to be really, really smart. With that, we now open the floor to a question and answer session. Please use the chat box, or you can unmute yourself if you have a question. I'll be more than very glad to answer them. At the same time, it doesn't have to be all about questions, okay? So if you have an observation, you want to say something, maybe share something. As I said, Dr. Salam and Mr. Biju have created this worthy platform for us, all of us, to come together and share our ideas. Please go ahead. You're more than very welcome. Yes.
Those who have questions, please raise your hands. We'll unmute
If
you.
you have a question, please raise your hand. I can see a message in the chat box. Oh, these are all about thanks, and a note of appreciation. That's so heartwarming. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. Got a lot of new ideas. Will implement. Wow. Thank you so much. How can we create a culture of Kaizen? Wow, that's a very insightful question. I'm more than glad to answer this question. Okay, so Kaizen might sound like a foreign idea, but trust me, it is simply implementing small and constructive changes on a daily basis, which will add up to the final results, okay? Which will add up to the desired results. So in your classroom, you are the judge. In your classroom, you are the manager, as Dr. Salam was saying in the beginning of the session. So you decide how you can implement Kaizen. You can start with the 3 C's. Identify what are the cases, what are the causes, and what can be the countermeasures that you can take up to, control the situation. And with those countermeasures are basically going to be your small steps that will add up to the continuous improvement of the students. I hope I answered your question satisfactorily. Is there anything else?
Yes, I think in the next session we can include a bit about Kaizen also, as many are eager to hear.
Absolutely. And this is one of the philosophies that we all would love to learn from, because it's highly, highly effective. So I believe there aren't any more questions. There is one. Okay, I would like to understand more about exit tickets. Okay, of course. We'll be more than very glad to organize one more session for you, as Dr. Salam has already said. Miss Shailaja has a question. Yes, Miss Shailaja.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am. I would just like to know what is the Socratic seminar?
Okay, that's a very good question again. Socratic seminar is one of those group activities that you can have in a large classroom. Now, Socratic seminar, as the name suggests, it starts with an idea. Okay, so you present an idea or a question or a central question or a central topic in the class, and around that, the students brainstorm and come up with the answer. It can be presented in form of a question. It can be presented in form of a task. It can be presented in form of I would say, a problem. Okay, so the idea behind Socratic seminars is to first, again, encourage student agency, bringing all the students together, different students together. And when the student groups are formed, you will see that there are typically students. There will be a student who's good with artwork. There'll be a student who's good with numbers. There is a student who's good with presentation skills. So they will all come together, and finally, when they come up with the result of the task, or when they come up with the idea behind the problem solving task that was given to them, it will be really like a seminar. Okay, it will be really like a convention, you can say. So that is the idea behind Socratic seminar, and it starts with a central idea. Okay, a central topic. Yeah, I hope I answered your question satisfactorily. Yes, thank you so much.
Thumbs up, thumbs up. Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, is there anything else that is there in the chat box? No, sir has kindly shared the certificate and feedback link. So it will be really appreciated if our dear teachers can take a little time and share their valuable feedback with us. And with that, we'll come to the end of the session. And from the bottom of my heart, I would like to thank the organizers once again for creating this beautiful platform, and I would like to thank all the teachers for this wonderful, wonderful participation that you have shown. Thank you so very much. Over to you, Dr. Salam.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. You can close the PPT. In
Yes.
fact, we would thank you. Definitely, your attempt was very successful, because we could see 300 participants till the, a few moments back. They were quite engaged. So I think we have to learn a lot from how, 300 participants can be kept engaged. So kudos to you. Hearty congratulations. Everybody was appreciating your energy level, especially. And very pleasant, in fact, very, very pleasant how a teacher should be in the classroom. So you were modeling a classroom teacher and managing 300 people, keeping them engaged, right? And also we could see motivation from your side, a lot of motivation to the participants. That is what we have to do. As you have rightly said, we call parents or students to, give them complaints. We never appreciate, we never call parents and give them appreciation. Today, your son or your daughter has done a wonderful thing, and he was quite engaged in the classroom, and so and so. So there is connectivity, and Sokini was getting connected. We was being connected to 300 participants throughout. So hearty congratulations, and each topic, each point was taken very seriously by the educators, and I would especially mention all the educators for taking out their time, despite being Sunday, and they should be having quality time with their families, but their enthusiasm matters a lot. And
Absolutely.
we extra mile takes very, what do you call, very happy. Extra mile is very happy to extend a heartfelt thanks to all the participants who have spent this much time with us. Definitely, this session will be a kind of eye opener, or whatever you call it. You can refer back to the video we will be uploading, and you can take up the points and you can implement in the classroom. As Professor has rightly said, lectures, everybody likes lectures in the classroom, but students, I don't think they like lectures. They want to do something in the classroom, which is what we have to facilitate. So please facilitate, be facilitators, scaffolders, we call it. We are not teachers anymore in the 21st century. We are scaffolders, facilitators. So we are pretty sure that lots of changes will happen in the near future, and these training sessions from Extra Mile will be very helpful, will be paving the way for a lot of changes in the future as well. Keep connected. I really appreciate a lot of educators getting, joining in well in advance, half an hour early. I always notice one Miss Rita Chakravarti. Every time, first time, she is the one to log in. So hearty congratulations, Miss Rita, and all who have joined and getting connected with Extra Mile for this type of wonderful sessions. Once again, hearty congratulations to Sophie, ma'am. We are looking forward to another inspiring session. You could definitely influence a few, at least today, with your presentation. So thank you so much once again. Thank you all the audience. Please give your feedback, as feedback tells the efficacy of a presenter or a teacher. We are looking forward to. Thank you. Have a good night.
Much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Shashikala,
Shashikala would like to say something.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. This session was very nice. Thank you, ma'am. And as you all said, yes, there are still few organizations who judge teachers based on traditional methods. They expect a very quiet class, a serious class, and then say it's a good class. So I'm sure this is an eye-opener. Me being a social teacher, I would always like to have an interactive session, activities where definitely some amount of noise would be encouraged in the class, is always encouraged in the class to keep the children engaged. And this is a motivation for us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Much
Our
appreciated.
classes can be noisy as long as there are activities.
Yes, absolutely right. Absolutely right. Then I think no one would have any problem, because that noise would mean some kind of learning is happening, some kind of bonding, engagement is happening. So yes, that is the most welcome noise in the world, actually. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great
Thank
evening.
you, Shashikala ma'am. Thank you, Sokini ma'am. And all the educators, have a good night. We are winding up, and this video will be posted. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
See you. Bye-bye.